everybody, thanks for tuning into Red Dirt Rods. Now today we are working on our LM7 rebuild, which is going to go into our 66 Cadillac. We've got a mid-mount accessory drive that we picked up from Holley. I love this thing. It is super clean, incredibly compact. It fits almost any chassis. It is so sweet. I love it. It's my absolute favorite accessory drive that Holley makes. I've got one on one of my LTs, and now we're going to put one on the LS. This is the entire mid-mount housing, okay? This is not just the water pump, it's just the water pump housing. This is the actual water pump, so it makes it nice, easy to replace. Everything bolts to this, making it super compact. It fits, it clears pretty much everything in most chassis. And we're going to show you guys how to install one for your project. All right, so I want to go over the Holley mid-mount accessory drive system because it is really cool and it's unique to any other accessory drive that you can find for LSs, even the other Holley accessory drives. I've used this on an LT and now we're going to put it on our LS. So what I like so much about it is that it's compact. So this is the whole thing. This is your water pump housing. Your water pump is just this right here. This is similar to what you find on some late model European and Japanese cars where you have a drop out water pump. So when the water pump does eventually go out, all you have to do is replace this one little section and you don't have to take all the other stuff off. It's really, really nice. All of the other accessories bolt to this. So your alternator, your power steering pump, your AC compressor, which this kit comes with a brand new Sedan S7 style AC compressor. It also comes with a GM Type 2 pump with the built-in housing, which is really nice. You can get this with or without the housing. And then it also comes with a brand new made in the USA alternator, which is really sweet. Has the correct crank pulley. It's got the belt, it's got the bolts, and we ordered this in the black, and we got the blackout kit, so this is a little cover for the idler, which is right here. So on the engine, see, I think it goes like that. So on the engine, it'll actually look like this, which is really slick. It looks really, really good. I love this setup. Plus, another really cool thing about this is on the water pumps, it actually goes this way. On the water pump, here's your water neck. You've got options. You can go straight out. You can do, whichever one you want. But what I really like for swaps is that you have two outputs for your heaters, your heater hoses. So you can thread them in here or you can thread them in up here. So you can come out here, you can do one up, one down, you do whatever you want. Plus, they've got little plugs for whichever side that you don't use. It's a complete kit. It's very well thought out, very well put together. It costs about $2,400. That is pricey. You can certainly get some cheaper ones, cheaper accessory drives out there, but you're going to use stock components that's not going to look as good. And this is super tight and compact. It barely extends past the side of the block. It's really nice. We're going to show you guys how to put this all together here right now. First things first, kit comes with two new water pump gaskets. We're going to put those on. One other real quick fun fact about the Holley mid-mount. This is the exact same unit that you would put on an LT engine because LTs kept the same water pump gaskets and spacing. So all you have to do is space this out a little bit for an LT and it works perfect. And they sell that kit specifically, but that's just the beauty of it, is that one piece actually covers both of those engines. This is very important anytime you're working on an LS or LT engine. And that is this original bolt, this is the original crankshaft bolt. It is torque to yield. You are not supposed to reuse it. Yes, people reuse them all the time. and don't have issues. However, you're not supposed to reuse this, and you don't want this bolt breaking. It's already stretched, so when you put it in and retorque it, it's going to stretch more. You're just looking for a failure, and these are not that expensive. The kit comes with a new one, okay? It comes with a new GM crank bolt, but we have opted for a reusable crank bolt. This is an Earl's crank bolt for an LS. The only issue I have with this is that it's a 12 point. 12 point's great, but you have to have 12-point sockets, and this one's big. It takes a 27 inch. It takes a 27 millimeter socket, and it has to be 12-point. The only one that we have in the shop that's like that is off of our 3/4 drive set. So we've got an adapter for 1/2 inch. We're going to use that. So when you install this, you make sure you lube the top and bottom of the washer and the threads. But before that, we have to install the pulley. Now, you can get this kit with a super damper, or you can get the kit with a base stock style damper like this one, which is what we have. So it's pretty cold in the shop today, so the crankshaft should be nice and cold. It's going to shrink it down a little bit. We want this to go on quick and easy. So what we're going to do is take our propane torch, and we're just going to heat this up a little bit. Don't worry, it's not going to damage anything. It's not going to take the temper out of anything. If I had an oven, I would throw this in the oven at about 150-ish degrees and let it warm up that way. But what we're doing here is we're just going to warm this up. It's already getting wet from condensation. So we'll warm this up real good. You don't want to get too close to the powder coating on this. You don't want to bubble it up. So we're going to continue to warm that up here in a minute. But I want to talk to you real fast about our installer tool. Now, LS and LTs have a very deep crank snout. It goes really far in there. So let's see here. So you just take this. We got a couple of washers on it. I usually take one of those off. You just slide it in and thread it in. You want to thread it all the way in. I'm going to go ahead and take all these off. You thread it all the way in until it bottoms out, and then you back it off about a thread or two. So that's bottomed out, so I'm going to take it out 1, 2 full turns. Then when we're ready for the pulley, we'll just slide it on, put the 2 washers on, and start cranking it down. First, let's get that warmed up. Before you drop it in, you want to put a little bit of lubrication on the seal. This is the seal, not the crankshaft. I'm not lubing the crank. I'm just putting a little bit of lubrication on the seal so that it doesn't tear when we install it. If you don't do this, the seal can stick and it can rip when you turn the engine over. Okay, so this doesn't have a keyway, so it just slides on. Okay, it popped on a little bit. Big washer, small washer, 15/16. Pull it out to check it. There we go. Now our pulley's installed. Okay, so we've got new bolts. They go in right here and here. So we're just gonna slip these in. That needs a short one. Okay. All right. One of the things I really love about the mid-mount is it also includes a port for your steam line on the back of the water pump housing. And we're going to use that with an 1/8 inch NPT fitting. We're just going to thread that guy in there. This is something you don't want to forget to install before you put this on. Otherwise, you'll have to take it back off. So what I love about these gaskets is that they just go right on and they actually will hold your bolts in place. Usually. We're going to take this over to the engine. We're going to get it started. Get a couple of these started so it'll hold itself. So we're just going to zip these on with the impact. This thing is really old and it's I checked it recently and it's putting out like 15 pound-feet of torque, so I'm not worried about it over torquing anything, and I'll torque the rest by hand. So we're just going to lightly zip these in. Water pump has a steel gasket. You align the holes with the face of the pulley here, and then it uses these small Allen-headed bolts. So just drop those in here, a couple places. There is a orientation keyway here. That goes right there, right here on the water pump. So I'm gonna drop this on this way. There we go. Slide that in. No silicone or anything needed. Just get one started. These get zipped in here to 89 inch-pounds. Don't over tighten them. We're just gonna run them in with this and then we'll do it by hand. Do not use a ball socket to tighten these, which is like this right here. This allows you to rotate a little bit for better angle. You don't want to use that for tightening because it doesn't have enough engagement and it can strip the heads. Now I'm going to come through with the same socket on a wrench, and I'm just going to hand tighten this. If you have an inch-pound torqueometer, you can do that. These heads do strip pretty easily, so you want to be careful. Next is our thermostat. The thermostat housing has a notch right here, and there's a little tab here on the thermostat that is designed to sit in that notch. So you just press this down. No gasket needed, it has one built in. Then this gets bolted down with the last two button head fasteners. You want this? You want this? You want it? Go ahead. It's right there. Dancing with Culver. Dancing with Culver. So now we're going to install our heater hose ports. I'm just going to put some thread sealant on here. We're going to use the side ports, and then we're going to plug the bottom ones. Now this is a huge hex. This is 1 1/8 inches. There we go. So we've got our socket. We're going to put it on our engine right here. We're going to take our tool we made, slip it in there. Nice and easy. So now we're going to put in the new alternator. With these two bolts, you need, these are both, these are M10s. You've got one socket head and one button head. So we're gonna drop this in just like this. Button head on the bottom, socket head on the top. Just using an 8mm Allen. And the smaller one uses a 6mm. Now I got to do a little bit of bench assembly. This is the new power steering pump. We're just going to take this plug out. Comes with this little U-shaped hard line and a banjo bolt. So with banjo bolts, there are 2 washers. You have to use washers with these. Always use a new washer. If you take this off after you've tightened it, you're gonna have to replace these. These are aluminum, but you can use copper. So one under the top of the head, you put it through the banjo fitting, and then you put the next washer underneath it. Then you just drop it down onto the pump. Okay, and then around here you'll see that there is a bracket that supports this on the upper bolt for the pump. So now we take the power steering pump, we're going to drop it right here in this location. It's got these 3 bolts, it just kind of slides in here. Get one lined up. Get another. Zip these down. Now, pull that off. All right, so we've got our pulley and our installer tool, which threads right into here. Slip that in. Thread this in as far as you can go and then back it out a couple of threads. That way you don't risk damaging the threads on the inside of the shaft. Then tighten this part up. That keeps it square. This one's 11/16. I've got a ratcheting wrench on that. And then I'm going to hold it tight with this 9/16 wrench. And you just take it down until the pulley is flush with the shaft right there. We're lined up. Now we do the AC compressor. Not all of these kits come with AC compressor. You can order it with or without. So these use 2 socket head screws. We're just going to drop this on here. The cool thing about this is these use these adjustable bushings. So as you tighten the bolts, this bushing is going to suck in and tighten up the fit. Slight issue. In order to get this bolt into the compressor, it interferes with our valve covers that we've got. So we're going to have to pull these valve covers off real quick to finish this up. All right, now that we've got our valve cover off, we're just going to slip this in. Then we can thread this bolt in. You could always remove this and have a little more clearance, but you don't have to. Last step before we put the belt on is the tensioner. You got this washer and a button head bolt. Slide it in. This side goes here. So just slide this in. This is a 5mm socket head. We torque this by hand. There we go. We've got this cool little cover, but before we put that on, we got to put the belt on. Put it around the alternator, around the tensioner. We come down around the crank, pull it off the water pump, Make sure it's on everything nice and snug, then slip it over the water pump. There you go. That's all there is to it. Last step, our idler pulley. You take this little T-bar, it slides up in here somehow. This little T-bar is kind of a pain to get in, so you slide it behind and then rotate it into position. Cover goes on, and then you've got these two little screws that go into that little bracket. Torque those down a little bit. That does not have to be too tight. You don't want to strip that out. And there we have it. This is the Holley mid-mount for LS and LT engines. It's really simple. It's about 2,400 bucks. It's gorgeous, it fits. You'll notice that the widest part of the engine is actually the heater hose outlets, and you could go narrower if you put them out on the bottom, and the power steering reservoir, which you can use a remote as well. I love this system. It fits in pretty much any chassis. It looks great, fits great. Go get you one. Make sure you like and subscribe. We'll see you next time. Let's make magic.